Washington mornings on the Mall.
105.9 FM.
And AM 630.
WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Let me just say that we're hitting the road again tomorrow for the Morning on the Mall Swing State Road Show, our third stop in the Commonwealth. Join us tomorrow at the Virginian, 169 Glendon Street of Vienna. Broadcast begins at 5 a.m. The doors open at 6. We are pleased, it's Brian Wilson, Tori Clark today. We are pleased to be joined by our good friend Stuart Varney from your Fox Business Network. Stuart, how are you?
I'm nervous, Brian.
Why are you nervous?
Well, you've got Tori with you again today, and she got all kinds of things out of me last week.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah, I feel
Deep,
like I'm
meaningful, personal things.
Am I going to be ambushed again, Tori?
What was it? I forgot. What was it that she got you to talk about?
Did we find out you were a socialist, right?
Oh, yeah. You were once a socialist.
Yeah.
Can we forget that, please?
Okay.
Nothing like a reformed socialist. They're the best.
At least you saw the light. That's the thing. Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, so I want to start with this story that's out there that says that in 2011, the federal welfare programs in this country totaled $1.03 trillion, making welfare the largest part of our budget, the largest expenditure in our budget. And by the way, the thing that sort of caught my eye was, okay, that seems like a big number. That's a 32% increase since 2008.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. Both of those numbers caught my attention. Just over $1 trillion in means-tested welfare programs flowing out from the federal government, up by 1/3 since 2008. I mean, that's a real stunner. Now, how do you arrive at that trillion? Is $1.03 trillion to be precise. How do you arrive at that? Well, that's around $750 billion that flows directly from the federal government, and another $250 billion that flows from the federal government through the states. Add them together, and you get the $1 trillion number. And that's spread around 83 different means-tested programs, like food stamps, for example. But it does not include, obviously, Social Security and Medicare, which are not welfare programs. They're entitlements, and you pay into them. So that $1 trillion number, Brian, is an absolute shocker this morning.
Stuart, when you're watching these debates, what do you think when the candidates don't talk about these huge entitlement programs? Because I continue to say that all politicians, and they are Republicans and they're Democrats, are committing fraud because their inability to address the problem, their refusal to even talk about the problem publicly. But if I were in your shoes, because you know so much about this, does your head explode when you watch these debates and say they're not talking about the elephant in the room?
Yes, but you got to know that the entitlements and any suggestion of any change in an entitlement program is the third rail of American politics. Don't touch it.
You know, that's one of the reasons I give Paul Ryan so much credit. And Fred Thompson, Senator Thompson, talked about this last week. Paul Ryan has the courage to talk about it publicly.
Yes, but look what happened to him when he first raised the idea of real reform of Medicare.
True, this man was
demonized. I mean, Erica Payne made that commercial of him, a look-alike for him, throwing an elderly woman, off a cliff. I mean, I think that was beyond the pale as far as I'm concerned, but that's what happened to Paul Ryan for doing that. So there is at least an understandable reluctance on the part of politicians to even mention entitlement reform, because you will be demagogued to death for doing that.
I want to turn to a company called A123. It's a battery company, made batteries for electric cars, just went belly up. They have received $249 million in federal stimulus money. Another green energy-related business that has gone under. Of course, the most notable of them is Solyndra. Certainly not the only other one. Solyndra, $535 million. I think as you start to add this up, you're talking about some serious money.
Oh, you're talking well into the billions now, and that's billions of taxpayer dollars flat out lost on the president's green energy subsidies. How about Tesla, Solyndra, Beacon Power, Amonix, Spectra Watt, Evergreen, Enna1, Fisher, Abound Solar,
wow.
Fisher Coachworks.
Wow.
I mean, I could go on and on and on. All of these companies got taxpayer money. All of them have lost some or all of that taxpayer money. Some of them are flat out bankrupt. Now, this is the president's green energy push, which he proposes to double down on in a second administration. In a second term, he wants to take more money off oil and gas companies and stick it into solar and wind companies, And I think that flat out on an economic basis, that's a disastrous policy. That's just not going to work. But that's his policy.
I sort of wanted Mitt Romney to hit this, like he did in the first debate.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. I thought it was a lost opportunity.
He scored a great point in the first debate when he said, look, $90 billion worth of subsidies for solar and wind, 50 years worth of subsidies crammed into your first administration, and it's a failure. I thought that was a big scoring point for Governor Romney. But he didn't come back to it at all in the second item.
And the third debate, the last debate, is on Monday, and it's supposed to be foreign policy. May not get the chance again.
Yeah, but I suspect that Benghazi is going to play a much bigger role.
As it should, but I think there are really important connections to be made between national security and, for instance, our reliance on foreign oil. I think there's a very, very important connection there to be made.
Yeah, you could make that turn, couldn't you? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, look, why haven't we built the pipeline? You can make the argument that if you build the pipeline and pipe down some Canadian oil, it doesn't change the price of gas, it doesn't change the price of oil. Okay, you can make that argument. But what you cannot deny is that if you bring in 1 million barrels a day of Canadian oil, you have 1 million barrels a day less coming from the shaky Middle East, where some people are our distinct enemies. On a national security basis, you build that pipeline, don't you?
Absolutely.
I agree. So, Stuart, here's a real off-the-wall question, because we're going to talk about this in just a moment. Where are you on the whole debate over whether or not Pluto is a planet?
What? I knew I was going to get ambushed, but not about astronomy. I'd like to say that I have a strong opinion, because I've got a strong opinion on just about everything.
Right.
But the planetary origins or definition of Pluto escapes me momentarily.
Well,
but that was a successful diversion from the realm of economics.
I just thought you might have a strong opinion, because I have a very strong opinion about it. I think Pluto is a planet, end of discussion, but apparently it's not.
If it's not a planet, so what?
Well, I think that I'm going to stand, and Tori and I are both going to stand here in just a moment in defense of the planet Pluto.
What's your birth sign, Brian?
I am and the moon is in its 7th house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then love will guide the planets, and something will steer the stars. I'm an Aquarian.
Oh, that explains everything.
Yeah. Doesn't it, though?
I'm the water bearer.
Everything.
Oh, good Lord.
All right, so you're a socialist, and I'm an Aquarian. Now we know where we stand.
I'm also a Cancerian. Take that.
All right. Hey, Stuart Varney, always a pleasure.
Good luck, guys.
Talk to you later.